Look at me, sure. I'm the captain.
Captain James Howe!
Ahoy there, welcome to Rated Aargh. Thank you for joining us on another adventure as we chart our course through the realms of cinematic piracy. Today, we set sail all the way back to 1935 for Mutiny on the Bounty. My name is Ryan, and please join me in welcoming my co-captains Christian and Braxton. And joining us as our first guest on Rated Aargh is our good friend and first mate, Matthew. Guys, this was a fun watch. Really stood out as being one of the best old films that we've gotten to see so far. So what did y'all think of Mutiny on the Bounty?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's of the older, let's say 70s or 80s ones that we've watched. I think this is the best one in quality and writing, all that stuff.
I mean, I think you're probably right. It was a lot of fun. Christian, any thoughts on Mutiny on the Bounty, man?
Very cool location. I think for the time, being able to shoot on location like they did was pretty insane. Mm-hmm. And looking into the
like on the sea or in Tahiti?
Both.
Both?
Both. Whatever they did budget-wise to be able to afford that at that time must have been miles ahead of everything.
It was a
else
lot
that
of
they had to
money.
compete
It
with.
was a lot
They
of
spent.
money. Yeah, they spent a lot of money.
I do not... Now, today, you watch it and you don't, I guess, appreciate it a ton. But at that time, seeing everything that went into the production of the movie... I read that Clark Gable said that was like his least favorite movie to ever film.
Oh, yeah. But it sucked.
That's funny.
In 1935...
It's just because they made him shave his mustache off.
Yeah. And so this must have been like tip of the spear with what was possible in 1935.
No, I think you're right, man. I like looking at some stuff about this movie, which, I mean, the thing that we've seen with older movies a lot of the time is it is just like chock full of like facts and different like interesting things that people have compiled about like the making of the movie and behind the scenes and different things that went on. But yeah, I mean, dude, this one, very, very solid. Matt, thoughts on the movie, man?
It was really entertaining, actually. Especially a lot of the old movies feel like are just really slow and kind of dry, I guess, compared to modern movies. But that one had a good bit of action, good character development, a lot of interesting characters. I think even by today's standards, it was still entertaining and interesting. You know, it wasn't just dry and boring. It was neat. Wasn't really sure where it was going to go. So I was into it.
Yeah, dude.
I believe that it was you that posed the question, the philosophical question, what was the quote-unquote chicken jockey of 1930s
Oh,
cinema?
yeah.
Wait, what was that, though? Did someone say something in the movie? And you were like, that's like chicken jockey?
Oh, yes. Dang it. I should have wrote that down. There was a line from the movie that I feel like would have been hyping everybody.
Chicken jockey.
Dang it, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind on that.
I'll chime in.
I remember that moment very specifically, but I don't remember what the... I probably wasn't paying attention because I was laughing more at the statement of chicken jockey.
I mean, you're probably right. Yeah.
I think it had something to do with seeing either like a shot of a ship on the sea or on location at Tahiti. Mm-hmm. And then someone said, like, this must have been so groundbreaking for that time that theaters must have been going
And people
nuts.
were like jumping up and down. And
I think that's when he brought up chicken jockey.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting philosophical question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think we were still talking about Wizard of Oz, actually. Were we talking about Wizard of Oz that time? When I was
yes, you were talking about the color
when Wizard
in
of Oz transitions to color, was the audience just like, over the rainbow! And just like losing it.
Flinging popcorn in the air.
Oh my gosh. But no, Matt, I think you're spot on, man. This is one of the more entertaining like old movies, I would say. A lot of times, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of like older movies because I do feel like a lot of times they drag and they're boring. And I really think a lot of that is contributed to just like how fast paced that our society is. And, you know, the attention span that you get from, you know, watching videos on social media and YouTube and all the things. And even movies now are cut so much faster. But this one I felt like sort of was maybe an early take on like the modern editing. I mean, they like tried some things I felt like that maybe we haven't seen with some of the other movies, specifically some transitions and things that Braxton immediately was like, yeah, that blew the whole budget right there on that one like transition.
Right, the special effects budget was the
yeah, because they had a map. Well, but they had the map where they like charted their course with little dashed lines, and then it would
which
like
is pretty cool,
like circle transition out. Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know.
I mean, dude, I think you're right, man. I think this one is edited. Whoever I didn't look to see exactly who edited it. I think I have something in like the making of video that we have to look at in a few minutes. But it felt more modern, I feel like, than 1935 because this is a very old movie. I mean, you're talking what 90 plus years.
Like, I wonder if some people, like, when it came out, didn't like it. Like, the people today that don't like Fast and Furious, they're like, oh, there's too much going on. I can't even keep up. Is that like
maybe
people in 1930s? They were like, "Oh my God, you see how many? That ocean was crazy, it made me sick."
Did you see that storm scene?
That storm, I
sickness.
Got to cover my eyes. I was puking.
Gave me motion sickness.
take that person and strap them in a 2025 VR headset, and their brain explodes.
They took Clark Gable's mustache. I'm out of here.
All right, Braxton, we haven't done this in a while, but do you recommend that people watch this movie?
Okay. Yes, you should watch this movie, but I think you could listen to this podcast without having seen it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
You know
That
what
we're
I mean?
gonna get
But I would recommend it.
I don't know.
But
If we're
I
going
think
to
you can keep
spoil
listening
like
without
too
it.
much because I mean,
Yeah.
this movie is relatively straightforward for the most part.
Yeah. Why am I green now?
I don't know. You've had a lot of technical issues going on. So, for those that are unaware, we are recording this like shortly after like a big ice storm.
Don't worry, I'm good.
We've had problems with Braxton's microphone, now his camera. Like it has been a night getting things to work here on Braided Aargh. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit about the movie. So Mutiny on the Bounty was released on November 8th, 1935. It is directed by Frank Lloyd and stars Charles Lawton as Captain Bligh, alongside Clark Gable, Francois Tone, Movita Castaneda, and Memo Clark. This movie is based on a book of the same name, as well as a book titled Men Against the Sea, and is based on a real-life mutiny in 1789. Mutiny on the Bounty had a budget of $1.95 million and brought in $4.5 million at the box office, which made it the highest-grossing movie of 1935. And Braxton, you mentioned the other day that the budget of this one had to have been higher than a lot of the previous movies that we've watched that were made around the same time. So what about this movie really stood out to you in terms of like scale and budget?
I mean, it was because a lot of times in old movies, and they don't look bad by any means because you kind of expect it. You can tell how much is on a studio lot, and it's usually pretty dang obvious. You could tell that a lot of this was just for real on location, or at the very least, on a real body of water, and they were on the ship on the body of water, basically. So it was that, but it was also the quality of the film, which sometimes that can be random. It depends on how it's stored, how it's, rescanned in, but it looked noticeably higher quality than something like a Captain Blood or a Seahawk or those other Warner Brothers pirate movies. For some reason, it just looks overall better in quality. And I think it was because when we looked up as compared especially to Captain Blood, it was like what?
Let me get that.
Twice the budget of it?
At least.
And
yeah.
Captain Blood was already kind of expensive.
I think Captain Blood, when we looked at it, was like $700K.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm pretty sure it was under $1 million.
Yeah,
and this
it's
one's
going-
almost
I'm
2. So,
About to have it.
Yeah.
it's at least twice the budget. I don't know. This one was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. So I have a couple other things, but before we get into it, I do want to go ahead and take a look. I found a video. It's from Frank Lloyd Films, I think is the name of the YouTube channel that someone put together about the making
I'm ready.
of Mutiny on the Bounty. So let's go ahead and take a look at that clip, and then we'll kind of discuss some things around it after. I thought this making of video
Frank
was actually
Lloyd
like
loved
really
a good
interesting
story,
on some of the
and
stuff
he
the guy
loved
had
the
talked
sea.
about.
Both passions united in his 1935 production of Mutiny on the Bounty. Early in his career, Lloyd had played pirates in Under the Black Flag and Captain Kidd and the Buccaneers. And he directed the silent films The Seahawk, Eagle of the Sea,
You mentioned the Seahawk just a second ago, didn't you,
and in
Braxton?
1929,
Yeah, but it was a
The Divine
sound
Lady, which
remake.
brought him his first Oscar
Okay.
for Best Director. When I finished reading Mutiny on the Bounty, I felt a definite excitement running through me. I knew I'd follow the simple history of a little ship, a character in itself, on a long journey. That aboard is a small group of men, courageous, sometimes sullen, always genuine. That the ship and the men reached paradise and saw its beauty, were forced to leave that beauty, and mutinied. I knew that there was a thrilling adventure, a great and simple theme, the qualities of laughter and grief and superb characters.
Fly.
They really like to flog people in
Ship's
this
company will
movie.
bear witness that I sign in obedience to your order.
And I knew that I could
Like,
sell
there
a
were some scenes where they
combination
beat
like
the
that to
crap
any
out of people.
audience.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty accurate to
Remember, sir.
the British
Oh,
Navy.
I'm sure it
The Court of
is, but
Inquiry in England.
I don't know, just
You mutinous dog.
a little different.
Retract that, sir.
I will repeat it. You're a
You
mutinous,
mutinous dog.
Mr. Crisp.
Land ho, sir!
Lloyd bought the screen rights to the bestseller Mutiny on the Bounty from his friends authors Charles Nordhoff and James Norman Hall. He sold the rights to MGM with the stipulation that he direct the movie.
Nice.
The screenplay was written by Talbot Jennings, aided by Jules Firthman, Kerry Wilson, and Lloyd himself. The Hollywood Self-Censor Board, the Production Code Administration, reviewed the script and warned Lloyd to show no backward and forward motion of the hips in native dances, and no nude breasts, even native women, would be allowed. Flower lays were strategically positioned.
That was something we talked about during
And
the
know how the
movie. It was
girls'
like, this was made
navels had been
today. You would
concealed
just see
in
like
this publicity
full on
photo.
Yeah.
boobs. Yeah.
Frank Lloyd considered the ship, HMS Bounty, an important character, almost another actor. Copies of the original plans of the Bounty were obtained from the British Admiralty.
That's
Under
cool.
the supervision of Cedric Gibbons and Buddy Gillespie, MGM art directors, an authentic life-size replica was built from the existing sailing ship, the Lily.
That's
The
crazy.
Pandora, on which Bligh returns to Tahiti, was built from the sailing ship Nanook. A second full-sized Bounty, built on 2 barges, was used as a stationary set for deck and cabin scenes.
So that, similar to Pirates of the
A
Caribbean.
third Bounty, a 27-foot, 1/5 sized baby Bounty,
Right.
was filmed running aground on Pitcairn Island, really the California coast.
Yeah, I wondered how
and
they
then
did this
burning.
and figured it was a mini.
This small model was later repaired and put on
I mean, it's still
exhibition.
relatively large. What was it? Like
Lloyd
one?
loved
It's a
pre-production
bigature.
research.
Yeah.
Typically
It's-
is what it's
All
called.
the resources of MGM to uncover gems of
It's pretty cool. They
authenticity.
had so many different ships
An
that they could
example,
work with.
The Geeves and Hawkes Company, the very same London tailors that outfitted Captain Bligh a century and a half earlier and still had Bligh's measurements, reproduced the captain's uniform for the film.
That's pretty
Charles
crazy.
Lawton lost 55 pounds in order to fit into that uniform.
Mm-hmm.
In the
You know
flogging
he had to have done,
scenes,
like,
Captain
cocaine
Bligh
to
is
do that,
shown
right?
reading from the Articles
I mean, it was in the
of War.
30s.
Through research at the British Admiralty, the exact book was found that ship's captains would have read from at that time. The British government reprinted 2 copies for use in the filming. Main filming in Tahiti began in June of 1935. 100 tons of equipment, including 9 camera outfits, 4 electrical generators, and thousands of feet of film, plus cast and technicians, sailed the 4,000 miles to Papeete. 2,500 Tahitian natives and over 100 outrigger canoes added to the scope of the production.
Whoa, that's cool.
Much of the Tahitian footage was used for rear screen projection later, since Gable, Lawton, and Tone did not make the trip. You can see the stand-ins for the stars performing in the Tahitian wide shots.
Smart, though.
Mutiny on the Bounty was the first major sound film to portray a storm at sea using full-sized ships. Lloyd hired Marine Director James Havens, who later worked on Captains Courageous and Rulers of the Sea, to stage the rough weather filming. In all, over 600,000 feet of film, over 120 hours went into post-production. Lloyd edited with Margaret Booth, the first cutter to be called a film editor.
Yeah, Margaret Booth.
Appropriate naval and patriotic
That's
themes
interesting.
were composed by MGM in-house music director Herbert Stothart.
I think that Mutiny on the Bounty will be remembered for a long time. Thanks to our audience.
So yeah, pretty cool little like video essay. I think the whole thing is about 14 or 15 minutes long.
Link it in the description down there.
Yeah, it's
the original video.
It's pretty interesting. I thought Frank Lloyd Films, whoever is the one that narrated that, did a really good job about pulling some different information together. This is an excellently made video. It talked about 600,000 feet of film. I did see something. I think it was on one of the like fun facts or trivia things on IMDb. When Frank Lloyd, the director, and his crew returned to Hollywood, they discovered that most of their location footage that they had filmed in Tahiti had been destroyed because of poor storage conditions, and they had to sail back to Tahiti and reshoot almost everything for the movie. Freaking,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, freaking crazy. Because
Don't you love film?
There's a good portion of this movie that was in Tahiti that they had to go back and reshoot.
Wow.
Man, it's wild. But Mutiny on the Bounty, very well received in terms of like a critical aspect. It made money as well in terms of like box office at the time. It was the highest grossing of the year. But Mutiny on the Bounty actually won Best Picture at the 1936 Academy Awards. And it was also nominated for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Best Score. And it is the last Best Picture winner to win no other category at the Academy Awards. So,
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
As of 2025,
Right,
it could always happen this
again,
year,
but
90
still.
years later. But at the 1936 Academy Awards, there has not been a Best Picture winner to win no other category, which I thought was interesting because like you see films now, like I think Sinners this year, nominated for like 16 different categories or something like that.
Yeah.
They're probably if it wins Best Picture, it's probably going to win something else. Like odds are pretty
A
high.
lot of times it's more likely to happen the other way, where a unique like film will win Best Picture and one other thing, and then another film will get like 10.
They'll sweep the rest of it. Yeah. Yeah.
There must have
found
been a
that
lot of bangers
interesting.
in 1935.
I do think that this movie is probably the most like critically well received of any movie we've watched on the podcast. If it won Best Picture,
you're probably right,
next
yeah.
to like Black Pearl and Dead Man's Chest. Mm-hmm. Probably.
Yeah. It won Best Picture. Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 96% critic score and 84% audience score. It's a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb. It's a 3.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's also like in, like the AFI, like 100
Yeah, it's in
years,
the list,
100
right?
films list. I think Captain Bligh that Charles Lawton plays is actually in the AFI 100 years, 100 villains. And like is pretty
can see
high
that,
up there.
yeah.
I think number 19 is what he's at out of 100. So pretty high up there in terms of like,
He's a real piece of crap.
dude. Yeah, no joke. He is terrible.
They do a good job of making you hate him.
Well, I think Charles Lawton does a good job of making people hate him as well. Like that was his job, is to portray this character in a way that like people absolutely would not, want anything
You're
to do
not
with
on
this
his
guy.
side.
No, like everyone is. Out to hate this guy if you're going to watch a movie. There's probably some sicko out there that's like, oh man, that guy reminds me of myself. But but yeah, man, I thought he did a fantastic job, playing Captain Bligh as the villain. And I have a log line looting. This one I pulled from Tubi because we watched this on Prime Video. Prime Video's log line is absolutely atrocious, which maybe I should have pulled it for it, since this is kind of the purpose of the log line looting, is to determine whether or not the streaming services are doing a good job of getting people to actually want to click on and watch the movie. If it were on Prime Video, I would say just flat out no, because the only draw to it is an actor. But this one is from Tubi. It says, aboard the HMS Bounty on a mission to Tahiti, the captain's sadistic treatment of the crew pushes the ship's lieutenant to participate in a mutiny.
Sounds about right.
I mean, that is actually like very
Spoilers!
short and sweet. And I mean, you get to the mutiny, like halfway through or something? Because the whole reason for the mutiny is that Captain Bligh makes them leave the island. And like the women is the main. I mean, am I wrong?
It's the same thing as Avatar. It's the same. Look, Avatar, Fern Gully. It all goes back to
All goes back to the women. All goes back to the women. But I mean, am I wrong? Like that's the main reason there's a mutiny in this.
Yeah,
he was a very cruel leader. Clearly, he was very harsh. But most of the crew were like conscripted by force. Like they didn't want to be there anyway.
Yeah.
And then they're getting treated like crap. Like maybe if they'd signed up for that, like it'd be a little bit different. But I mean, almost everybody was forced to be there. And then they're getting whipped daily and starved. So, morale was not high.
Oh, yeah.
And what did the movie say? The journey was 2 years?
Something like that. It was a long
all of
way.
a sudden they were just, hey, you got to work now.
I think the guy who was impressed, he had to serve for 2 years.
Yeah, they were forced to go on that ship for 2 years and they get beat and starved. No, yeah. I mean, nobody was having fun.
No.
Until they got to Tahiti.
Yeah. I mean, he's a piece of crap. Like, let's just be honest, man. Like, probably one of the worst. And I think I said this during the movie. Like, he's not a captain that anyone would, like, want to follow, but he's actually, like, decently good at being a captain when it comes down to it. Like he's
a competent as a officer,
like a captain and a sailor. He's decent, but in terms of like actually being a captain and like making your crew like want to follow you, he's terrible at that. Like he's constantly flogging people. He's constantly punishing people for this thing or another. He like lets them go and have fun, but then changes his mind and like calls them back. And like it's just a lot of push and pull. Like he is a control freak by nature and is going to make sure that his way is the only way and that no one is going to, do what they want. And
well, there was a line in the movie, I think I'm maybe paraphrasing a little bit, but the Christian Fletcher, the lieutenant who led the mutiny, he had confronted the captain at one point and said, he had basically said what I said earlier about most of these guys are forced to be here. But he said they need their spirits lifted, not broken.
Yeah.
And Captain Bligh took the opposite approach to that. Basically, like, I think he had we're not here to have fun mindset. Like, I can keep them doing their job if they don't have any hope of doing anything else.
Yeah.
He just had the
rather
keep
than
them
like
down.
Being a captain and like leading the crew and wanting them or making them want to follow you, he's just like almost treating them as slaves. Like, you guys are here because part of them are being punished, I guess, like they're sentenced to serve on this deal.
Right, they're criminals of some kind.
Yeah, and he's basically like treating them as slave labor. Like, this is my ship, like you do as I say, or like you don't get to eat, or you don't get to do this, or we'll beat you to death, or we'll throw you overboard. Because don't they literally like drag a guy under the boat?
Yeah, they keel haul him.
Keel haul.
That's why they drag you behind the ship. Is you get keel hauled.
Well, they drag you under the ship.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then and then he would make you go and tie yourself to the top of the mast. That has a name too. I can't remember what they call that.
Yeah, just a despicable man, right?
Oh yeah,
just terrible. I can see why he would be, considered one of like the worst villains of all time in a movie, because like he's terrible. Like there's absolutely no reason that anybody should ever want to follow this guy. And then you have Christian on the other hand, who is, you know, part of the crew, but also, you know, has like an authority role and is very well liked and very well respected, and the people like want to follow him. And so when, you know, there is, which I think Captain Bligh sort of brings the mutiny up to begin with because he's upset with Christian.
He calls Christian a mutinous dog.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of like
Christian,
he was
are
already
you gonna sit here and let him talk about you like that? Oh, in the movie, sorry.
Yeah, I know he calls him a mutinous dog, but like isn't he the one that brings up the mutiny in the first place? Like he's upset with them. Yes, but
I think he suspects,
Are
or
they-
any kind of like
The captain brings it up before any
Yeah.
of the crew actually intend to.
yeah, like
I
I
think-
don't.
And almost
Would
kind of
there
puts
have
it in
been
their
would there
head.
have been a mutiny had he not called him a mutinous dog to begin with?
Probably not.
I mean, I think
The chances would be lowered.
Captain Bligh was so like a control freak, I guess you could say, that he I think any kind of talking back, he basically was already viewing as mutiny. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, that first guy at the beginning who's like the person they were whipping who was already dead, he had made a comment that guy punched a superior officer, and he's like, oh, an underling hit his commanding officer, beat him to death.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, there's a turning point in the movie as well where I think the crew maybe goes from like, we can put up with this to, okay, this is too far, is when he forces the doctor guy, I can't remember what his name is, like out of the like sick bay up to the ship. And he
Mr.
like basically,
Gibbs. Wasn't it like Mr. Gibbs or something?
something
The
like
doctor?
that, yeah. But he like forces him out. He forces Christian to go get him. Christian returns without him and is like, he's too sick to come up here. And the doctor comes up there either way and ultimately dies like right there on the ship. And I mean, he basically blames Captain Bligh for killing him by you know, getting him out of
He calls him
bed
a
and-
murderer.
Yeah, and so I think there were some other things that were, you know, I think they probably were upset about, but they maybe could have like moved on from. But that seemed like a pretty big turning point of like, yeah, no, this is too much.
I think that was the last straw for Fletcher. The other crewmen seemed to like, whenever he took away their water to water the plants, which is what they went to Tahiti for, to get those like saplings. But I think a lot of people, I don't think they cared. Obviously they didn't, because after they mutiny, they throw all the saplings out of the boat, which is the whole reason they went to Tahiti, was to get those. And they just throw them out to be funny. So clearly the crew didn't care what they were there for. They just wanted to go home.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. The Tahiti scenes are fun too. It's basically like they go and sort of like spread their seed in a way. Am I wrong in saying that? Like that's kind of the main reason that they went to Tahiti, right? Because almost all of them either have like some native wife that they've met before. Like one of them had a family of like 4 or 5 children.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh yeah, that was the cook, the like nervous.
The weird
cook.
guy, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and then you have I can't remember who it was. One of the guys shacks up with like the chief's daughter. Like it just seemed like, you know, that they were going there to basically, I don't know, like commingle with the tribe in a way, and like,
Well, the guy that got with the chief's daughter, I can't remember his name. The one who got with the chief's daughter, he was given like he had a secondary mission, right? He was supposed to.
Yeah, he was trying to translate.
He was supposed to document their language. Some like Lord Admiral something other. I can't remember these characters' names. Lord Admiral whatever gave him that task, like specifically. And then he just completely abandoned that because he's like, man, Tahitian women are they're just too attractive. I don't got time to be writing words in a book. What are you talking about? Yeah, so that didn't work. Basically, nothing got done. A lot of people died, and nothing was accomplished.
yeah,
That's the summation of the British Empire right there.
Yeah, that's
Nothing
probably
was
just,
ultimately accomplished. A lot of people died.
that's just 18th century nautical exploration. Like anything accomplished was purely luck. They didn't get any saplings.
Yeah.
They didn't write anything down in the language. They lost 2 ships. A lot of people died. Nobody won.
Yeah, it was interesting that like after the mutiny as well, they just run a ship aground. They're like, yeah, no one's like stupid enough to follow us here.
That's pretty crazy.
And then they burned it so nobody would find them.
Yeah,
And then he accidentally sank the Pandora when he hit a reef trying to get to him.
Yeah, trying to chase them.
Yeah, it's a lot like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where you run aground. Which, I mean, honestly, like a ship above water, I feel like is way easier to run aground than a submarine. But somehow, you know, they managed to do that in 20,000 Leagues. But yeah, and I don't know, like, I don't know. So for those of you that do not know, I have rescued 4 kittens recently, and they are a handful. And so I swear I missed like a decent portion of this movie just from like chasing them around or checking on them to make sure that they're okay or something like that. So how exactly, this is probably a stupid question because I watched this movie. How did we go from the island back to Tahiti?
Wait, what island?
Like when they ran aground, right? Didn't they go back to
No,
Tahiti?
they left. They took the ship and then they went back to Tahiti and then they saw another British ship in the distance.
Oh,
which
and
was
they
the
fled,
Pandora,
right.
And then they fled.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they crash landed on Pitcairn Island, which is just another island they found at random.
Yeah.
And supposedly that's where they stayed.
That's where they stayed after that.
We don't follow up after
And
that.
that's what happened in real life too. I read they found the remains of the actual bounty in 1957.
Okay.
They found what was left of it, and like they confirmed it by its anchor was actually stamped that it was to the bounty.
And that was the one they ran aground on that island?
They ran aground and burned it, but some pieces of it archaeologists found in 1957.
Huh. That's really interesting.
And then they found like journal entries. They were only there a couple years, and they died from infighting. The Tahitian guys killed most of the people.
Oh, really?
The Christian Fletcher, he got murdered by some Tahitian guys in his sleep.
That's how I want to go.
That's what it said.
Murdered by Tahitian men in your sleep?
In my sleep.
In your sleep? Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he got killed, and then the other guys, some of the crew killed the other crew. One of the guys that said he got drunk and he walked off a cliff. I was reading the diaries from it. One of the mutineers survived. John Adams was his name. One of the
later went
mutineers.
on to different John.
Later
Adams, sorry.
went on. No, it said
to be played by.
He said he never
big
got
fat liar
involved
guy.
with the fighting, and he had like befriended the women and children, and they just spared him, and he got to live. And an American ship ended up finding him. USS
It was the
Topaz.
same John Adams.
A USS Topaz found him, and he told him basically what all had happened, and gave him his diary, and then they found the wreckage in 1957.
Paul Giamatti is who you were thinking of.
Thank you, Christian. I was really mad that I couldn't think of his name, but then I was like, it's funny if I just referred to him as the big fat liar guy, the blue guy.
They even said that John Adams, because of like his work with like befriending the Tahitian people, they brought him back to England and spared him for like mutiny execution for like his work in
PR.
What am I trying to say? PR. Yeah,
today
in
we
like
would call
forming a
PR.
treaty with Tahitian people. Yeah,
Interesting.
they said they spared him because of his work on that, and he lived like several more decades and like died of old age.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Christian, can I cue it up for your historical check?
Yeah, he covered a lot of it.
Oh, my
But-
bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, that's cool. This is actually based on a true story. Just before the sunrise on April 28th, 1789, Commanding Lieutenant William Bligh of the Bounty was woken at Cutlass Point. They were 30 miles off the coast of Tonga in the South Pacific. And it was a man named Fletcher Christian who is in this movie. And Christian has been played over the years in 4 different movies by Errol Flynn, by Clark Gable, by Marlon Brando, and by Mel Gibson.
Dude, that's
And so
that's a strong core of actors. Holy cow.
Very, very strong core. So in Hollywood, he is typically regarded as, a lot of websites describe him the same way, and they use the same terminology. They describe him as a dashing rebel, and I would agree with that, how he is presented in this movie. He is very much presented as the hero, and Captain Bligh is shown to us as very much a villain. In reality, there are a few differences in terms of what happened in the movie and what happened in real life. I have a quick game. I know he's gone over a little bit of it, but I have a few.
game?
So you guys say myth or fact.
Okay.
Okay.
I am going to go through I'm going to read a statement. You say whether you think it's myth or whether you think it's fact. Then I will tell you historically how the movie compares to what was actual reality. So, statement number 1, Captain Bligh was in fact a sadistic monster.
I want to say myth,
I'm
but
gonna
instead
say
I'm going to
fact.
say fact.
I'm going to say fact.
Probably a bit myth, exaggerated. I guess I'll say myth.
It is largely myth. So, despite his looks and attitude in the movie, a lot of historians have watched this movie and said he was actually, in terms of what was depicted and what is described to him, he actually is described to flog his crew less than many other captains at the time. So he was seen as kind of being more lenient at the time. But in the movie, he's the only thing we have to compare. So in the movie, he is presented very much as a monster. Here's another statement. So the mutiny occurred on one day. Everything occurred in one day.
Myth.
I would say that's a myth. Yeah.
That is also a myth. It is something that was ongoing for months. There were like a number of dominoes that had to fall into place for everything to culminate on a single day, but it is the result. It was decided on months in advance until they found
Wow.
the perfect day. And it was the months spent in Tahiti where they kind of gathered themselves and came up with this idea. You guys kind of know this, but the mutineers lived happily ever after.
That's a myth. They got eaten.
That
We don't know if
that
they got
is
eaten.
true. So
Yeah.
their island of Pitcairn descended into murder, alcoholism, and paranoia within the first year.
That's how I want to go.
Would you guys agree that mutiny was rare in the 18th century?
Ooh. I don't know.
I think it was rare to like actually fully pull it off. Maybe not rare to attempt it.
No, I don't think it was rare. I think it was common.
That is true. At least attempted mutinies were very common.
Right.
On 18th century voyages, mutinies were a constant fear on pretty much every journey. Ships were always likened to pressure cookers. And the last one, I don't think you guys have talked much about Bligh, but is this myth or fact? Bligh was killed by the mutineers in real life.
No.
I'm going to say false.
I don't know. True.
That is a myth. So
Okay.
Captain Bligh. What had happened in reality is one of the greatest survival stories ever in any sort of naval history. What had happened was that William Bligh and 18 of his men who remained loyal to him were all put onto a single 23-foot boat with, I have the list of stuff they were given. They were given 28 gallons of water, 150 pounds of bread, 32 pounds of pork, 6 quarts of rum, and 6 bottles of wine, and just cast into the waves on essentially a rowboat. They survived a journey that they couldn't necessarily control, but they survived a journey of about 3,600 nautical miles and they arrived on the shores of Timor. That he had only lost one man in this journey, and it was a guy who was killed by, I guess, an indigenous warrior on one of the islands that they had made landfall on prior to arriving in Timor. Eventually makes it back to England, reports the mutiny, and after that, the British send another ship back to Pitcairn, and they're able to track down 10 of the men responsible for the mutiny, and a lot of them were later executed.
Was Captain Bligh on the return trip like he was in the movie? Or did he... I wonder who was that?
I doubt he would have returned.
I wouldn't want to.
It says pretty soon after his return, he was actually made governor of New South Wales, Australia, which was a British colony at that time. But at that time, he did suffer another major mutiny while governor of New South Wales.
See, that makes me think, though, like, oh, he wasn't that bad of a guy. Like, come on. It happened twice.
It happened.
You know what I mean?
That
Are
we
we really
know,
going to
yeah.
say it happened twice and it wasn't him?
Yeah.
That was the problem?
So, and then I read a little bit about the relationship with Christian and Bligh. And it's very interesting because in the prior journeys, they were described as very close friends. But on the Bounty and this specific trip, it's reported that Bligh constantly berated him and humiliated him in front of the crew, which is what eventually pushed him to a breaking point. Big reason for the mutiny was the sailors were described as lovesick
Jesus.
for the families that they had, the families and lovers that they had found in Tahiti.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
They
you,
arrive in Tahiti and find out it's
Avatar.
way better than England and way better than being
The
on a
women.
ship.
I mean, we joked about that during the movie, right? Like, obviously, the Tahiti's portrayed as like a paradise, but it's kind of like, come on, compared to being impressed on a British naval ship in the 1800s, or even living in Britain in the 1800s, life would probably be objectively better living in Tahiti.
Yeah. I mean, the way it's
So
portrayed.
how would you not?
Just to go back and be a poor dockhand in Britain is my other scenario.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I
assuming I don't
definitely
die
said
of
that while
scurvy
we
on
were
the way.
watching, because like
Yeah.
Tahiti is portrayed as a paradise in this movie, and they all have like either made friends there or connected with a woman, and are trying to like start families and stuff. And like, at what point would you ever want to leave?
like,
that
what
place?
incentive do you have to?
Well, that's what I'm like. Okay, so you now live in a place where like you don't really have to worry about money. Like you just have to trade goods and stuff with the village that you live in. You don't have to sail around on a ship anymore. Which, I mean, maybe they have fun doing that, but most of them, it seems like, are impressed. Is that what you said a second ago? Like, why on earth would you want to keep going? Like, even Captain Bligh, like, I think his biggest the biggest blunder that he has in the movie is he does not get off the ship during that.
Because if he did,
He's locked
he'd be
in.
like, "This is great."
Captain Bligh's
like,
got that
for real,
grind
though.
set.
That grind set, yeah.
Just cuts to him in a Hawaiian shirt.
He's like,
He becomes kind. He becomes like Santa Claus immediately. He's just
no,
nice.
he's
They
a
had-
company man. He said, we're getting these saplings and we're going home.
I mean, am I wrong? Did he get off the ship at all?
Not that we saw.
No.
See, I think he just stayed, and he sends like Christian and the other guys
and-
to go
and that's
to
how it
shore
worked.
and negotiate and do whatever they were supposed to be on this
Yeah.
mission for, and he just
If
stays on the ship.
If there's a violent uprising with the local indigenous population, you don't send your captain to the shore.
Yeah. Dang.
And it's not a pirate movie, but it is very pirate adjacent, and this is exactly how pirates were made. There's a couple, William Kidd, Henry Every, there's a couple really famous captains that were essentially in the exact same scenario where there were kind of two ways. You could have been the mastermind behind the mutiny, or you could have been the trusted kind of outside.
You've been elected by the
You
people
could have-
as the
you
new
could have been
captain.
elected as a new captain. And so a lot of times people did see naval rule of law and big colonial, I guess, rule at that time, and they didn't necessarily agree with it. And a lot of them were carrying out orders of a king that was thousands of miles away, and they said, wait, why are we doing this? Let's cut ties with this captain and let's do our own thing. Or, hey, we really like this island. There's so much resource here. Why are we living like why are we living like this on a ship?
Mm-hmm.
We'd be much better on our own. A lot of times they were carrying out legal orders of France, England, whoever it may have been, as privateers, taking these legal ships and then bringing them into port or these admiralty courts, and then giving up most of the value, which went straight back to the colonies, which went straight back to the king, and then go, wait, this is kind of a sucky end of the deal. We risked our lives and we don't get to keep any of the value. These higher up captains and higher up, lieutenants that are on the ship that like to follow the rules of the king, let's get rid of them. I would say a lot of times it wasn't violent. A lot of times they were given resources to survive. They were left behind a lot, or they were given some sort of way to get back. But that is exactly how pirates were made. There was no pirate pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something you grew up wanting to be. It was very much in the moment. You go, the grass seems a lot greener over here doing this. Let's make it happen. And sometimes there was no mutiny. Sometimes it might have been from the head of the monster itself. It might have been from the captain who says,
Right.
I'm the one that wants to turn the order of the ship. So it was very interesting to see, and I thought that this was actually a pretty good representation. I understand that they made Fletcher the hero, and they made Bligh much more a villain, and it was a lot more kind of questionable historically on who was right, who was wrong. But I think compared to the
way in which they do the mutiny is probably the most accurate that we've seen, probably.
Yeah.
Or at least the most focused in a movie we've seen.
Yeah. Christian, I loved your game, dude.
Thank you.
I do like that.
Yeah,
Sometimes we don't have enough information in order to do that, but in this case, this is based on a true story, and we can look up the truth versus the movie.
True story, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I loved your game. I loved your game so much that I actually had the same idea, and I also have a game.
Oh wow! Okay.
So
round two.
I will say I put this in ChatGPT earlier, and I had it make a couple 5 questions on whether you have mutiny or not mutiny, and these are all scenarios that ship crewmates and captains could be placed in, and so your job is to decide whether you think that it is mutiny or not mutiny. And question number 1 is: a majority of the crew refuses a lawful order, remains at their posts, and demands the captain be removed by naval authorities at the next port, while allowing him to retain command until then. Is this mutiny or not mutiny?
I say not mutiny.
I guess not.
There's some structure to that, I think.
Not.
Okay, well, ChatGPT says that this is considered mutiny. Collective refusal of lawful orders by a majority undermines command, even if politely framed and temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 2. A ship's master is temporarily restrained by officers during a mental breakdown, after which command is returned once he regains composure. Mutiny or not mutiny?
I don't think that's mutiny. That probably just happened back then
Mutiny.
a lot. Or maybe not a lot, but...
It's going to say it's mutiny.
This is not mutiny. And this falls under necessity and duty of care. Preserving ship and crew can justify temporary restraint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number 3. The crew seizes the ship only to prevent the captain from committing what they believe is an illegal act, then immediately resume the original mission under a new officer. Mutiny or not mutiny?
Oh, so the crew is wanting to do what they were instructed, but they think the captain wants to veer off. I guess
Mutiny.
that's probably not mutiny.
Mutiny.
No.
Christian?
Nope.
No. This one is mutiny. Belief in illegality doesn't excuse seizure of command. Intent matters less than action. Question number 4. Sailors agree among
Mutiny.
themselves that if the captain orders another flogging, they will collectively refuse, but take no action yet. Mutiny or not mutiny?
No.
Preemptive mutiny. I
No.
guess not yet. No.
Christian?
I say mutiny because
So
it seems
say
like
mutiny?
i-
Okay.
if you disagree with anything,
You are correct. This is mutiny. A collective agreement to disobey future lawful orders qualifies as mutinous conspiracy.
Oh.
And
So it
then,
is preemptive mutiny.
yes, sure.
Yeah, mutinous conspiracy. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the final question on mutiny or not mutiny. Officers remove a captain for cruelty and incompetence without bloodshed, claiming necessity, but continue operating under naval discipline and log the act for later court-martial review. Mutiny or not mutiny?
Mutiny.
I'll say not mutiny.
I will also say not mutiny because they had to account for how many captains probably got like lead poisoning and went crazy.
And they were going to hold him for court-martial review. So that means they were letting the higher authorities make the call.
Yeah, so this one it is mutiny. Although it does say this is sometimes morally defensible, and it says even well-documented bloodless and justified removals are still mutiny under strict naval law.
So basically, if you go against the captain, it's mutiny, I guess, no matter what, in a way.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
I mean, even like you would think, like, okay, our other officers are in agreement. We're going to let the admirals decide that the captains lost it, but that's still not good enough, I guess.
And it does not appear that that is good enough, yeah. All right, well, I have a couple fun facts as well. So this movie actually changed the way that the Oscars function because it is the only film to receive 3 nominations for the Academy Award for Best Actor. Clark Gable, Charles Laughton, and Franchot Tone all received nominations for Best Actor. And because of this, the Academy introduced a Best Supporting Actor Oscar shortly afterward to ensure that this situation would not be repeated. They all 3 lost to Victor McLaglen for The Informer in 1935, but it did fundamentally change the awards at the Oscars. That was,
Yeah, I bet they lost because our votes were split. I bet.
I mean, there's probably a good chance, yeah,
You know what I mean?
that is the case. So when you have 3 from the same movie, that makes it very difficult to choose which one that you like the best. I said it earlier. This is the last winner of the Best Picture Oscar that won no other Oscars that year. And there's only 2 other films that have also done this, and it is 1929's The Broadway Melody and 1932's Grand Hotel. So it's one of 3.
So that has not happened in a long time. Either.
No, it is not. This is the last one that has happened to, and the other 2 were prior to this. So, yeah, it's been a long time since that has happened. Clark Gable also had to shave off his trademark mustache for this film for historical accuracy, as mustaches were not allowed in the Royal Navy during the time that this story takes place. And I think he was rather upset about having to shave off his mustache as well. So, which you can understand. Like, if that's, your one of your striking features that people, laud you for, you would be upset too. So, I don't know. Still handsome though. I just read some stuff where Charles Laughton apparently was very jealous, and because he was worried that Clark Gable would outshine him on screen because he was so handsome.
I mean, he's the bad guy. He's not supposed to be the hot guy necessarily.
Yeah. And then the last one that I pulled, there were a ton, but I thought this one was interesting, and it was briefly talked about. It almost glossed over in that video we got to watch earlier. But MGM actually hired 2,500 Tahitian natives to serve as extras in this movie, and the canoes which the natives used to paddle out to greet the Bounty's crew were all shipped to Tahiti from Hollywood. So I don't know how exactly.
You think they looked at them and they were like, "No, these suck. These aren't like what we used to build."
This is nothing like what we would normally build.
Or you think they saw him and they're like, heck yeah, I hope they leave him here after they, you know what I mean?
I mean, they seem to
Yes.
work pretty good for the few minutes that they were on screen.
I wonder if this is one of those things to where the indigenous population like didn't use anything like that at the time, but Hollywood planted it in their culture.
Oh yeah, like after the fact, maybe.
So after the fact,
Yep.
they start. It's like Mexico City after the one Bond movie.
I
They
knew
started
you were about
having-
to say that.
They started having the Day of the Dead parade in Mexico City when they didn't before.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if this is one of those cases of a movie like planting something in their culture, and they
I
go,
wonder.
"Huh, we should be doing that already."
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I did not
Maybe.
know that about the Bond.
I don't know why, but I remember you saying that before, and I was like, I bet he's going to say the Skyfall
Yeah,
Day of the
I
Dead
mean,
parade.
They've had smaller parades pretty much
Yes.
in every town and village, but they didn't have a big one in
That's
Mexico
specific,
City.
yeah.
And so the Bond movie, the opening scene, they kind of invent that. And then they filmed it, and everyone was like, "Oh, it looks really cool. We should do that every year." And so they do.
That's pretty interesting.
the sky fall. I will say, I think this movie had probably right up there next to, maybe slightly below Master and Commander, as far as realism and portraying what, life was like for the average sailor on a naval ship. There was a whole lot of like terms, using the correct terms and people calling it out and calling to each other of the jobs that they had to do.
A chief named Heedy Heedy.
Yes, that too. And then something a very specific moment that I feel like we would never see otherwise is there was very specifically their like big cask of water had a little cage around the spigot, and it was under lock and key.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we've never seen that before, but that's very obvious. Of course, if you had to ration water, or even if you didn't have to ration water, you would probably have to keep it under lock and key, because if someone went over there and got more than their share, even if they weren't short on water, who knows when is the next time they're going to refuel with fresh water. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that stuff like that would have to be under lock and key. But that's something that I'd never thought of before, but they actually put in the movie.
Yeah, I thought that part was interesting. I think I said to you during that part, like, dang, they locked the water up.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a good touch of realism, because I'm sure that that's something that, would have been found on an actual like ship at the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess effective rationing is probably one of the biggest jobs of officers
Right.
back then. Like, I mean, this is what we got. There's no way to get more.
It's going to take
We're
us
gonna
10
be
days
gone.
to get here.
At least
Yeah.
we hope 2 years if everything goes right. I mean, yeah, I mean, they'd have to control rationing to, I mean, not to, in the, the movie depicts it in with kind of hateful or sadistic to some of it, but I mean, you'd have to be strict. Like, that's probably
Yeah.
just one of the hard calls a captain would have to make. You'd have people upset about it sometimes probably, but like, I mean, it's either we eat a little bit less now or we eat nothing in next month.
And the same thing I noticed too for when they raise the this is the best scene of any movie we've watched, when they're setting off and they lower the sails.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best. The music is awesome. The editing is awesome in that scene, and it all is real because they built that, they're modified that real ship, and they probably trained those guys to climb up there and unfurl the things.
You wanna watch
And it was no, I'm good. Yes, we could watch.
The Fry make ready to sail. Larboard watch secure for sea.
I could use some more
Larboard
pixels.
watch shorten in cable. Stand by to go aloft.
Is in 480 on YouTube. That's all I had to work with.
In captain's gig, Mr. Christian. Both watches hoist. Stogie, hoist away.
I also love in this movie the use of close-ups followed by wide shots. It shouldn't work as well as it does.
What's the matter? Afraid to go aloft? Why, it's child's play.
It does work. It does work extremely well in this.
Jesus.
It is a cool scene. Sailing back then is hard work.
But I mean, this is the first time we've seen them actually do this in full.
There's so many guys involved as well.
Attention with the coat. Last man down. Please, sir. Give Hannard. Hayward. I'll take care of him. Keep home. Fight away.
It's really satisfying.
Get ready for tea, sir. Give out the helm. The helm, sir. Steady. Steady, sir.
Oh, Mary, it's such a little ship. My Tommy will bring her home.
Oh, Mary. I mean, he gets you hyped up.
And you can see the little ropes on the sail as well to determine wind direction.
Yeah, which is cool.
And they sing on the way out. I mean, come on, man. How much more realistic could you get?
Yeah. Very nice.
Dude, just a great scene. I mean, I think have we even seen this like happen in another movie where they actually unfurl the sails and like get
Not in
everything
this
set
much
up?
detail.
A lot of times it just like
Never.
magically happens.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we need to get on with the movie and get sailing, so let's just skip the actual like getting ready to sail part.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, I think that scene is super super cool. You get a good shot of the ship. You get a good shot of like the crew actually like moving around and doing things. I know that we have seen on a few other movies where they have like brought an actual crew from a ship in. I would assume this is maybe not the case for this one, but I really don't know. I don't know that I saw anything about that. I'm trying to remember what other movie, if it was Master and Commander or if it was Cutthroat Island or one of those where they'd brought in like an actual crew to man the ship. And basically, like, they had no speaking parts or anything, but they dressed them up in the attire that they wanted them to be in, and they actually
Probably
like
one of those-
ran the ship.
Yeah, it's probably like a lost knowledge thing.
Yeah, a lot of it, yeah. Which the good thing about them being in the 30s is there was still people who were aware of it.
Yeah.
They weren't, because even in the 1890s, there were still, fully rigged out sailing ships.
Yeah,
and that's
I
a
just-
relatively small ship in that movie. Imagine all the like work and moving pieces on like a big,
Like the full
like
size
galleon warship or something that had multiple floors and dozens of cannons and
So many
several
pea
masts. I mean, it'd be what did you several pea buckets? Is that what you said?
So many pea buckets.
That's This
This
I
is
mean, a lot
also
of
the
moving
first
parts.
movie where we saw an explicit thing of like, oh no, those are the pea buckets, and he has to go dump them overboard.
And he actually throws the whole bucket overboard as well at one point.
He does,
And then it's
plays it
like,
cool.
oops. Like looks
And then plays it
around
cool
like,
like
yep,
that
nobody
didn't
saw
happen.
that. So we will either find another pea bucket or everyone's just out of luck. But yeah, dude, I mean, I don't know. Some of the attention to detail on some of these older movies is just so cool. Because, I mean, you could do it nowadays, but like, who's going to take the time? Unless you get like a Christopher Nolan or somebody who, you know,
Yeah, or
just
like a Peter Jackson type.
yeah, like
Who's
just
their
really
whole, brings
wants
their whole
to-
crew to.
really wants to make it, as realistic as they possibly can. Like I don't see a movie like this being made today.
Oh yeah, yeah. I liked the adherence to historical detail. Like even look at like Pirates of the Caribbean. Those guys were in way bigger ships than most pirates had. They weren't sailing around in galleon-sized warships. Not most of them. Most pirates were in little bitty ships. But
Yeah.
that doesn't look as cool in like a big movie.
No, it does not.
We want everybody in massive multi-story warships.
Yep. All right, Braxton, let's take a look at our pirate bingo.
This had several, but probably not as many as you think. Most of them are the sailing terms type stuff. They do say land ho. There's a peg leg. There is rum. Is there a sword fight? I don't think there is a sword fight. They use swords, but they don't engage each other in a sword fight.
For some reason, I feel like there was a sword fight, like
No,
on
I
the
don't think
ship
so.
at one
Like
point.
a clashing of blades. I don't think that ever happened. Did they ever even pull a sword?
Yeah, during the mutiny, but they never.
Yeah, I guess they
Ching,
did.
ching. I don't think so.
They had swords and they had guns. Nobody got shot either. I don't think. They shot. The guns were fired at people, but nobody got hit. I don't recall anybody getting actually hit.
Obviously, the ship, 18th century ship. There's a mutiny,
There was
which
a mutiny.
only very, very few of our movies have had explicitly a mutiny in it. So this is on that short list.
Yep.
Obviously, they talk about the Royal Navy. That's the ship that they're on. I would say there's a West Country accent somewhere in there. One of the crew members has it, I believe. Maybe the small guy who throws out the bucket of pee. There's a tricorn hat. I did mark crew killing each other because obviously during the mutiny, even if they don't kill each other, they are sort of fighting and basically there's a tussle between members of the crew.
Does him flogging people to death count as killing each other?
I mean,
Or
a
no?
crew killed another crew person. I guess.
No, but I consider crew killing each other doesn't necessarily mean they're killing each other, but that there's the moment of like they're turning on each other and like there's infighting, basically.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because there's several other movies where that is. I feel like that's a trope, right? Where they turn on each other and fight. But that can kind of be different than an explicit mutiny thing. That happens way more often than a mutiny. Like in all the Pirates of the Caribbeans, the crew ends up fighting each other at some point. They do sing a sea shanty. There's 2 or 3 different instances of them singing. Or at least it's part of the score that they're singing. There's a map. Even though it's not a treasure map, we do see an Indiana Jones style map with their route put on it. Someone does put a cutlass between their teeth. That does happen on a very, very quick, like close-up shot. They say the word pirate because basically, like Christian said, they kind of insinuate, you know, we don't want to think of ourselves as pirates or something like that during the mutiny. And they do run the ship aground, which is very, very rare. I think that has only happened in a very, very short few of our other movies. And yeah, so I think it's probably an average amount
they
in
didn't
total.
really swing in the rigging. They just kind of climbed it.
No, but that's what's funny is that I marked that, which I don't think I mentioned. I might have skipped it. That they do, you know, raise the sails or lower the sails. That moment happened in this movie, but it doesn't happen in a lot of others. But more often than not, the thing of people flying around and like doing tricks and weird stuff happens way more often than the actual just lowering of the sails moment, which is kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
I did like the prep work to get the sails lowered. There's a lot of movies where you see the sails drop and it just like did it like on its own.
Yes.
Yeah. It just magically happens.
It just magic. All right, we're ready. It's like they just cranked it. Like that thing's running on gas.
How many was that total for bingo?
15.
It's not bad.
No, it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Not much
pretty
piratey
solid.
tropes, but a lot of the naval language and stuff on the ship, right? Got accounted for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's go ahead and get into our ratings. So for those of you that are unaware, we have a rating scale called the Pieces of 8. We rank the movie on a scale of 0 to 8 in terms of a general rating and a piratiness, like how piratey that we think the movie is. Christian, do you want to start us off with the ratings?
I will go with a double 5.
Double 5. Okay. Pretty strong on both. Would you care to elaborate, or are you just going to leave it as double 5?
I will leave it at that. I feel like it was one of the more enjoyable ones that we've watched of the older selection. But again, it was not a true. It was more adjacent, but I feel like the adjacent parts that it had, we had a lot to gain from. As far as I know, we haven't seen another movie that features a mutiny, have we?
Not really, no.
And
Not this explicit.
Such a big part of pirate lore.
So explicit they put it in the title. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of mutiny. I was going to bring this up in a minute, but is this a pirate movie? Like, are they technically pirates after the mutiny, even though they like don't consider themselves to be?
They don't engage in piracy.
Yeah, they don't.
They steal the ship.
They're mutineers.
I mean,
they steal the ship that they are on.
I mean, they commandeered their own ship, but I don't think they went on committing acts of piracy, robbing from other ships in nautical combat.
I mean,
I will say, I think this is the closest
definition of piracy.
I think this is the closest
sometimes?
a movie can be to being a pirate movie without actually being one. I think it's a pirate adjacent movie that is like this close to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's going to come down if you feel like they became pirates. I mean, I think they did not think they had become pirates.
Right? Yeah, they said they didn't think of themselves that way.
Legally, I've just Googled this. Mutineering your own ship does not automatically make you a pirate, but it is often the first step to becoming one. Mutiny is the illegal act of seizing control from the captain, while piracy involves a subsequent committing of theft or violence on the high seas. Mutineers only become pirates if they subsequently use the vessel to commit illegal acts.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's
it's
a
like,
very
all right,
specific definition.
Now we got the equipment. Let's go.
Let's go
rob
do
a
more.
yacht. Let's go rob some cargo ships.
Interesting.
I mean, that's legally, that could be the difference between like life in prison versus immediately being hanged.
Wow. Dang.
Because they stole the ship and then they wrecked it and they went and they lived with Tahitian ladies. They kind of just.
Where's the sequel to this movie that's like The Few Good Men, where it's in the end a very tiny way, but like where's the end where they have to be defended in court and someone has to bring up that very specific legal argument?
Did you order the code red?
Did you become a pirate? Did you mutiny? You damn right I did. You want me on that ship. You need me on that ship. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Man. Okay. Well, I think that clears that up then. So I would no, this is not a pirate movie.
But it's as close as we can get without.
Yeah, it's on the edge of the blade there. I guess I can go next. So for my rating, I gave it a 6 out of 8 for a general score. I mean, I thought the movie was pretty enjoyable. I don't know that I would say that I enjoyed this as much as some of the other movies that we did. As I have said previously, like I'm not the biggest fan of like the older movies, but I would say this one is probably the best one of the older that we've seen. So 6 out of 8 on general. And then my piratiness, I gave it a 5 out of 8. I mean, it kind of accomplishes a lot of things. There's still a lot of things missing. Like I easily could have given this a 4 and just kind of gone right down the middle. Because it is on the edge of being a pirate movie, I think. And I was basing that off of, they did, have a mutiny and stole the ship. And so that would sort of consider them to be pirates. But I guess if they commandeer their own ship and then that does not then make them a pirate unless they go and attack and rob ships at sea, then it's not technically a pirate movie. But I'm just gonna stick it out with a 5 out of 8 on this one.
I think I gave it a 6 overall too. I thought it was pretty fun. Like I liked it even for old movie standards. I thought it was really neat. It was a good watch for anybody who hadn't seen it. I'd never even heard of it prior to this, so I was pretty pleased by that. I guess I'm just going to decide on a number. I feel like maybe like 2 on the pirate scale. I mean, it was definitely 18th century nautical. Like there were pirates around. We didn't see them and they weren't in the story, but that's like the time period where that was happening. But I don't feel like they were pirates. I mean, that was a British Navy adventure that went awry. They took the ship, but they just wrecked it and went and lived free for a couple years till they died from infighting. I don't feel like they engaged in piracy. There was no pirate culture or anything shown. They didn't live that life, or or how Hollywood pirates are depicted. They just went AWOL and wrecked the ship. I don't feel like it was a piratey movie, but it was a cool, nautical high seas adventure. So good movie overall, just not necessarily directly piratey per
I
se.
agree.
Yeah.
It's a mutiny movie.
Yeah.
I would say it's a bounty movie.
They didn't consider themselves pirates. They took the ship because they felt like they had to, and then all they did with it was wreck it and let it on fire so they could be with their Tahitian baddies. That's all they did.
That's
They
how I
didn't-
want to go.
They didn't commit piracy, and I don't think they ever even thought about wanting to do that.
No, I mean, he calls him a mutinous dog, and he's like, "You take that back, you."
You take that back.
Yeah.
Resin.
Yeah. What did you say for your general rating? I don't know. Maybe I
6.
missed it. A 6. Okay.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I liked it overall for that.
Cool. Braxton.
I'm good. No, just kidding.
Wow.
I think for
Pass.
overall, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 8. Because I think that maybe it's not quite as good overall as other ones. Maybe I've given the 7 out of 8 to the overall on the previous ones on the podcast, but I was really impressed by it. I think among these types of movies that I have seen from this classic era, I think this is probably like the most well-made I've seen. I was really impressed by it technically and the editing and stuff. So for that,
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a little higher maybe than it actually is.
So you would say that MGM spent their money well.
I do. And I think it they put the money on the screen, basically. And the pirate score, I'm going to give it in the middle, a 4 out of 8. Because it's sort of like Master and Commander, but I think that unlike Master and Commander, it is a little more towards the pirate aspect, but it's not quite fully there.
And it was missing the lesser of two Weevils joke.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. If it would have had that scene, it would have...
It would have put it to a 5.
it would have
at least.
done nothing. The piratey score would still be 4 out of 8. But I would have laughed.
There was no
Yeah.
pirates in Master and Commander either. Weren't that just
no,
that
it's
was
just a
No.
sailing
completely
epic.
nautical adventure too?
Yeah.
Mhm. And even more straightforward than this one.
Yeah, because he
Yes.
was like going up against another country's navy.
Yeah,
right?
he's chasing a French ship in that movie.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And don't they go to the Galapagos?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And, yeah.
because
And then Yo-Yo Ma plays the cello.
his ship's doctor is like a big Charles Darwin fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that movie, it's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, he's like
Collect specimens.
he's like collecting specimens and like researching like insects.
He considers
and-
himself a naturalist. He was like a big Charles Darwin fan. Yeah. I'm remembering. Yeah, that's right. There's no pirates in that movie. 18th century nautical adventure.
But it's a
still
great
not
movie.
pirates. It is a really good movie.
Ironically, that's not the only movie where Charles Darwin appears.
we watched
We've
the
watched so
Pirates
many
in
on
an
this
Adventure with Scientists, and yeah, there's a big Charles Darwin. In fact, Charles Darwin I think is in the movie, right?
He is.
Yeah.
He's a nerd who's in love with
It's
Queen
like a
Elizabeth.
stop motion like Aardman movie. But
Like
I
the
mean,
Chicken
he was-
Run people.
He was pretty relevant at the time, I guess, especially if you were British.
Oh, man. See, that's the thing. We start watching these things, and the more and more you do, the more weird connections you start to make
more stuff comes around
between these things.
All right, and I guess last but not least, should we induct this into the rated R Pirate Cinematic Universe, the Hall of Fame?
It's been a long time since we put anything in there.
Yeah, yes, it has. Can we induct the Tahitian women? Can I make a
Okay.
motion that we induct the Tahitian?
I think the movie should go in. I think that the movie can go in.
What
I
gets
feel
it
like
in there?
this
Being
one-
good or being explicitly piratey? I mean, it's definitely good.
It's sort of both, but
Okay.
I don't know. I think that I think it should go in because it feels like obviously there was a 100 silent era and other pirate or sailing movies made before this. There was 100 made after this. but it feels like this one winning Best Picture, I feel like probably is some sort of a catalyst for other things that came later on.
Yeah, I'd agree. This is one of those things to where the Oscar win kind of
legitimized
the old like 1930s or 1940s national championships you put on your football stadium, you put on the side, and no one thinks about them, but you look at it and go, "Oh wow,
we did that."
Rich history.
We did that. It's not. I don't know if I would feel the grace about putting it in the Pirate History Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
the Naval Cinema Hall of Fame, I would say for sure.
Do you think that this would help springboard things like Treasure Island?
Oh yeah,
I absolutely did. I think it did.
Okay.
Naval adventure tales. I mean, 18th century, the 1700s, that's a popular category for fantasy. This is a good kind of mix of fantasy, but with a lot of real history mixed in. So, yeah, I feel like it's on there. It's not like crazy whack, like I don't know, Peter Pan. I don't know that. I mean, that's a pirate story, but that's obviously totally magic and made up stuff. But this is actually like grounded in real history, so that's cool.
It's up to y'all whether you think it's
piratey
enough.
I'm okay with it. So I think, this probably set the stage for a lot of things that we have gotten to enjoy afterward. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, we haven't done this in a while, but let me see if I can make a little graphic, and I'll make a big stamp of approval that I'll put on screen.
Yes, with an asterisk.
With an asterisk.
Yes, because it got the Academy Award. The only one that has gotten an Academy Award winner for Best Picture. That gets something, right?
I mean,
it gets to go in there with the Oscar.
And even
the Oscar this movie got.
Even if there's not piracy in the movie, it's about mutiny, and mutiny is like
it's the first step to piracy legally.
It goes hand in hand with piracy. Yeah,
you could make a sequel if they hadn't run the ship aground. That
before
becomes
you can be a pirate. You just gonna be a land pirate. They're not gonna take you seriously if you don't have a ship.
This is like the instruction manual. Yeah.
The instruction.
Yeah, you got to acquire a ship first.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, this is for the first time in a long time. This is crazy. This feels weird saying this. Mutiny on the Bounty inducted into the rated Aargh Pirate Cinematic Universe. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. A little slow clap. Mm-hmm. Wow, it's been a while. We watched some freaking deadbeat movies this year that have really, detracted from the number of things that could be. Oh, absolutely.
But Dodgeball.
Like Dodgeball would never make it into the rated R Pirate Cinematic Universe, but
Do we know if that newborn in the beginning, that infant, is still alive?
Oh my god.
Oh, I'll look that up. That's interesting.
What made you think of that right now?
Gosh.
Are you gonna put them in there? 104-year-old.
Well, it's because I forgot who said it, but someone was like, "This is one of those movies where you watch it, and then a few minutes in, you realize that everyone in this is dead."
Yep.
And not 10 seconds after he said that, first
there's a
thing
baby
on the screen is like a newborn baby. And we're like, "Well, there's a shot."
Yeah, I mean, they've been 90?
Yeah,
or maybe a little older than 90, depending on how long it took to cut everything together. But wow,
not outside the realm of possibility.
Man, that's crazy. We have not done that in a long time. Inducted.
Yeah, we need to actually make a graphic that shows what we put in there, because I don't remember what the hell's in there.
I'm aware, but that takes a lot of time.
I know.
To do.
I would love to see exactly what he typed into Google.
I don't know. Maybe we need to divide and conquer, and everyone takes like a couple episodes that they
watch it.
Well, just even just cut towards the end. All you have to watch is like the last 20 minutes. Yeah.
That's legitimately the only way I would know what we did, is to watch that.
So, did you find an answer on the baby, Matt?
I wasn't finding luck on like any documentation on the extras. All the named people obviously are dead because they were adults in the 30s.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the infant went uncredited. Yeah. All right. Well, it's almost time for us to take this ship to port. But before we do, we wanted to make sure you found our proverbial message in a bottle detailing next month's movie of choice. So coming March 10th and our final episode of year number 2 of Rated Aargh, we're taking a look at 2023's The Last Pirate. You can find this movie on Tubi. It has actually a decently high audience score. considering that it's an indie movie and it's 56 minutes long. Like, it's not even an hour.
We'll discuss why I think the ratings are high in that episode.
I mean, we certainly can't. There's 100 plus though.
How many people worked on that movie?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But should be a lot of fun. Matt may join us again for that one because it kind of looks like it might be bad based on some of the reviews. And Matt loves to watch like fun bad movies. So
Can't wait.
yeah, you may join us again next month as we watch The Last Pirate. So head over to Tubi, watch The Last Pirate, and we will see you next month. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We hope you enjoyed Mutiny on the Bounty, and we can't wait for you to join us on our next adventure.